What is going on, comic book fans? That clap was a really good one. It actually hurt my hands a little bit. But guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Wednesday pull list, which is your hype video for this week's new comic book day, which is September 11th of 2024. Now, if you're not a baby, September 11th was a huge moment in American history. And I just want to take a second and just realize that it's been 23 years. 23 years since that huge pivotal moment in our history, and it's just crazy to realize that I'm turning 44 this year and it's actually been 23 years. That's like over half my lifetime that event happened, and it affected so many people in my life, closely, and my bigger family and friends. And if you lost someone during that time frame, this has to be such a horrible day for you. So I hope we can take this little bit of positivity, which is comic books, and kind of escape and just have a little fun talking about really cool artwork and really cool stories. And yeah, that's what this channel, I like to bring positivity and energy, but you do sometimes have to step back and take a look at the bigger picture of things, and 9/11 is such a huge day. And if you guys know someone that was affected by that big day, just reach out to them, let them know that you're thinking of them. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into the fun stuff, which is starting with checking out my pull list. Now, as you guys can see, it's another big week. It's always a big week for me, I know, but it's getting a little bit smaller and smaller because I am finally starting to whittle down from my pull list. Guys, there's a total of 20 books on my pull list this week, but you guys can't see what those books are, so let me go and throw them up on screen right now. Guys, like I said, there are a total of 20 books on my pull list. Only one new #1 this week, which bodes well for the future of not adding more books to my pull list. And if we break down this list a little bit more, there are 5 DC books, 6 Marvel books, and 9 independent titles. Now, there is one book on the chopping block this week. There is another book that is so close to being chopped. But before we get into the chopping block, I just gotta remind you guys that I read all the previous issues to the book you see on screen right now, except for one. And that one book cannot make the top 3 list. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move over to the sad section of this video, which is the chopping block. The one book on the chopping block this week is a Spawn book, but it's a Spawn mini-series, not one of the ongoing series, and that is Misery. Now, I've pre-ordered all the issues already, so I'm going to have the full set of books if in the future I do want to pick up this series and finish reading it. But after reading issue #1, this series was just not for me. When I got issue #2 and then issue #3, they immediately went to the bottom of the reading pile, and they just stayed there. They never moved their way up because I was never interested in going back and finishing that series. So this book has officially been chopped from my reading list, even though I'm going to have all the issues. But the other book that is on thin ice, the thinnest of thin ice, is The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos. Now, the same thing is happening to that book. It continues to get moved to the bottom of the pile because my interest in that book is just gone. I'm just not interested in finding out what's going on with the story anymore, and that means most likely the book is going to get chopped. It is the one book that I did not read. I just ran out of time yesterday to finish reading that book, but I am going to read that issue after I finish editing today's video, and if the series picks up and is a little bit better, I will keep this book on my list. If not, then when the next issue does come out, I will chop it from my pull list. All right, guys, that is the chopping block for this week. Let's go ahead and move over to all the positivity with my cover lover picks. All right, guys, strap in because there are some really good covers coming out this week. There are some ratio books, some cover A's, some exclusives. There's a whole grab bag of all the good stuff, so let's go ahead and dive right in. And the first one that I really like is Transformers issue #12, the cover A. Now, there is an exclusive that's okay, but this cover A, done by Daniel Warren Johnson, featuring Optimus Prime, looking into the heart of something, I don't know what it is, looks freaking epic. It's probably Cybertron or something, I don't know, who cares? The artwork is gorgeous, and just the impactful moment of this cover is just so great. Now, guys, next up is Fantastic Four issue #25 with the variant cover in the 1:50 Virgin ratio variant, done by Greg Capullo. I'm a big Greg Capullo fan, so of course I'm going to add his covers to this list, and this one is actually pretty good in my opinion. Now, next up is Green Lantern issue #15 with the cover C variant, done by Simon DeMeo. So good. I'm a huge fan of his. Whenever I see a cover done by him, I almost always add it to this list. Now guys, next up is a really cool cover that I just saw yesterday. This is Wolverine issue number 1 with the negative bleed variant done by John Jang. I'm not a huge John Jang fan, but this cover right here is just, it's got it all. It is epic. Now guys, next up is another cover for Wolverine issue number 1. This is an exclusive cover coming from Unknown Comics, Comics Traders, and the Sleeping Giant. Now this comes in a trade dress in a Virgin variant done by Gabriel Del Otto. It's a Del Otto, it's Wolverine, and it's freaking great. Now next up is probably my favorite cover, and I rolled the dice on this. I did not pre-order this because I was hoping to get this for under what I think the cheapest I saw it was on 616 Comics for $80. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 2, the 1:100 ratio variant done by Dyke Ruan. Now, if you watch this show and this channel, you know I'm a gigantic Dyke Ruan fan, and this is the coolest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cover I've seen in so long. It is so great. It is a 1:100, and I want to get it closer to 60. Like I said, 616 Comics had it for 80, but I wanted like 60 or 50. And my hope is that mycomicshop.com is going to have this for around that $50, $60 mark. If not, I'll just go over to 616 Comics and pick it up there for 80. But fingers crossed. That's not crossed. This is crossed. Fingers crossed that I can get it for 60. All right, guys. Next up is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 2 with the 1:25 connecting ratio variant done by Danny Earls. I already have the one for issue number 1, and there's going to be one for issue number 2, 3, and 4, and they're all going to connect together, and they are just really cool in my opinion. I really like it, and I got the first issue signed by Jason Aaron, and I want to get it also signed by Joel Jones, and why not? Let's find Danny Earls as well and get them triple signed. It'd be freaking epic. All right, guys, next up is Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider, issue number 5. Now, with the exclusive variant from Unknown Comics, the Comic Traders, and the Sleeping Giant, this comes in a trade in a Virgin, and it's done by Ivan Tao, and it is absolutely freaking fantastic. How great is this cover? Both the trade dress and the Virgin are great and fantastic, and I'm going to personally wait till there's a big sale over at Unknown Comics, and then I will swoop in and hopefully pick this up for like under 50%, because sometimes they have like a 60% off sale, and that's when I usually sneak in there and get those exclusive covers for a nice deep discount. All right, guys, next up is a really cool cover for The Scorched issue number 33, and this is another cover A, and it's done by Don Angulio, and it's, yeah, look at She-Spawn. She looks freaking epic. So good. All right, guys, we got 4 more covers. Next up is Ain't No Grave issue number 5 with the cover B. This is the 1:25 ratio variant done by Scotty Young. It's Scotty Young, and this cover is so good. Now, next up is Profane issue number 4. This is a series I am not reading, and this is the cover D, which is the 1:20 ratio variant done by a name I'm not even gonna try to pronounce. But this is actually a pretty provocative cover. And all we have is a face, but the face is just done in a way it looks like she's staring at you and giving you the eye, but also has a gun. That's pretty freaking cool. Now, next up is a really great cover. This is Garfield issue number 2 with the cover D. It's a 1:10 ratio variant done by Crystal Kung, or Chung? I don't know, probably Kung. But how cool is this cover? This cover is really stinking cool. Like, it's just so adorable. And I don't think a ton of shops are going to be ordering 10 copies of this book. So if you see it somewhere, snag it. Snag it, and if you don't want it, put it up on the secondary market. You can probably make a couple bucks, but this is something I would love to add to my PC. It is just so cute. I'm not even a huge Garfield fan, but this is just too adorable not to want. Now, the final cover is actually a 10th print variant. There are, I believe, 10 10th print variants for Void Rivals issue number 1, and the one that's up on screen right now is the one done by Daniel Warren Johnson. There's some gold foil ones and some other ones that are okay. There's actually a design variant that's actually pretty cool for the glove of Draka. I want to say it's Draka, the male character in Void Rivals. He has like this little robot glove that has an AI in it that talks to him and helps him out sometimes. It's so cool. There's a design variant for that glove. Very cool idea. But this cover, done by Daniel Warren Johnson, is just fantastic. Daniel Warren Johnson is one of my favorite artists, and this cover is so great. And those are all the covers that I found that I just fell in love with just by the cover art alone. I'm not picking up all of them. I'm going to pick up a good amount of them, but my wallet can only stretch so far. But guys, those are all my cover letter picks. Let's go ahead and move over to the next section, which is the new number 1 that I think you guys have to be excited about. Now, before we dive into that new number 1, I gotta pause and take a second and ask each and every one of you that are still watching this video right now, smash the like button. Hit it, smash it, move your mouse over it, click it, just make it highlighted because it helps the channel out so much. Okay, enough of me asking you guys to do something. Let's go ahead and check out that new number 1. With only one new number 1 on my pull list, it's really easy for me to pick which one to talk to you guys about, and that is Wolverine issue number 1. They're relaunching the Wolverine series again. Why don't they just do a continuing? Just continue it. Just put a new creative team on it. But I guess more people are drawn towards issue number 1s, which I get. And this new number 1 is going to be written by Saladin Ahmed and has art by Martin Coccolo. Good creative team, not the best. I can picture other teams that I would want on this a little bit more, but Saladin Ahmed is a solid writer and Martin Coccolo is a really good artist, so we got a good creative team. But let's go ahead and read that synopsis. The legend begins anew in the Adamantium tough new ongoing series, which is cool. It's ongoing, so we're not getting a mini-series. There's a killer in the woods, and as Wolverine's attempt at peace is shattered, an old enemy will re-emerge as a new villain rises who will bring Logan to the brink of his berserker rage. But Nightcrawler knows his old friend is capable of doing what's right, and before long, Logan will have to unleash his claws, push his healing factor to the limit, and demonstrate he's the best there is at what he does once and for all. Nice be damned. The legendary Wolverine ongoing series kicks off anew with the superstar creative team of Saladin Ahmed and Martin Coccolo beginning their epic journey with Logan. Collector's note, a key first appearance and a major addition to the lore of Wolverine is in this issue. So that's cool, we get a key first appearance, but how key of a first appearance is it? If it's a villain, it's probably most likely not going to be that important, but if it's a hero, that would be really cool. But they're teasing villains in this, not heroes. But I am excited for this new number 1. So let's go ahead and move on because I talked about it enough. Wolverine is a really cool character and hopefully Saladin Ahmed can crush this story. All right, guys. That is that. Let's go ahead and dive into the top 3 books that I think you guys have to be picking up this week because these are the best stories coming out this week. All right, guys, sitting in the number 3 spot is an X-Men book, which is interesting. An X-Men book on the top 3 list after X-Men being so bad for so long. But after reading Uncanny X-Men issue number 1, it has me excited for issue number 2. Now, this has the creative team of Gail Simone and David Marquez. Now, I originally picked up this series because it has the art of David Marquez in the guts. He's normally doing lots of really cool covers. He's a great artist, but seeing him in the guts of an X-Men book was so good. Every single page had just this beautiful, fantastic art. Every character looked amazing, and the story was pretty solid. I'm not going to say it was the best. That's why it's not in the number 1 spot. It's in the number 3 spot. It reinvigorated some excitement around some of these X-Men characters. Uncanny X-Men features, Rogue, Wolverine, Gambit are the main 3 characters. Nightcrawler was in there. And at the very end, on the last page of issue number 1, we got this introduction to 4 new mutants. They're on the run from this villain that they teased in issue number 1, which was really cool. But the one weird thing about this book was that there was some odd sexuality or sex innuendos that were placed in there that I didn't think needed to be there. There's a couple moments where Gambit and Rogue were like, kissing, and they actually looked at Wolverine at one point and was like, we're about to do something here. You can watch if you want. It was very weird. That wasn't the exact wording, but I was like, man, that is really weird. And there was just, I don't know, some odd added sexual tension for no reason. It didn't add anything to the story, and I thought that was really odd, Gail Simone. Watch yourself. This should be more character-driven, not sexually driven, Give me a good character story, not some weird sexual innuendos. But overall, the story was pretty solid. I really like the tease of the new villain that they're introducing, and we got 4 New Mutants at the end of the first issue. That's pretty exciting. And it was just good to see a good group of mutants. Rogue, Wolverine, Gambit, and Nightcrawler all together. It was really cool. All right, guys, that is the number 3 book. Let's go ahead and move on to the number 2. All right, guys, the number 2 book is Vengeance of the Moon Knight, issue number 9. Now, this is coming from the amazing writer of Jed MacKay, and this issue has art by Dev Parmanik. Now, Dev was the artist on issue number 8, which I read yesterday, and issue number 8 was fan-freaking-tastic. It totally followed the story from issue number 7. We're at the end of Blood Hunt, and it was just a whole kind of like coming together of the full team of Moon Knight, Soldier, Reese, 8-Ball, and I forgot what the doctor's name is, all in the Midnight Mission, and it was just so cool to see them come back together, and Moon Knight being so proud of his whole team for holding down the fort, and it was just awesome. It was an epic moment. Now, I believe issue number 9, which is the issue that's coming out this week, is the last issue of this run of Moon Knight, which is Vengeance of the Moon Knight. And then we get another new number 1 coming out, I believe, next month, which is going to continue the story with Jed MacKay and Alessandro Cappuccio. And I'm super excited to see where they're going to go from here. It's like, this series has just been so mind-bogglingly good. You guys have to be picking up the series. And the reasoning for Dev Parmanik being on this issue in the last issue was probably to give Alessandro Cappuccio, or I don't know how to pronounce his name honestly, time to start working on issues number 1, 2, and 3 for the next story arc, so we can just continue getting these books out. And I gotta say, Dev kind of has a look a little bit like Alessandro, so it wasn't distracting. His artwork did not, like, you know, distract from the storytelling that Jed MacKay was doing, because you weren't like, oh my god, this art is so different, I hate it. No, it was really good. So, if you guys aren't reading the series, I highly suggest you pick it up. Alright guys, let's go ahead and find out what the number 1 book that I think you guys have to be reading this week, because the story is the best. It's back. It's back, and issue number 1 was so good. Guys, I'm talking about DC vs. Vampires World War V. Issue number 2 comes out this week. I read issue number 1 yesterday, and oh my stinking god, or did I read it on Sunday? It does not matter. I don't care. This story was so good. Picked up right where the issue number 12 left off in the first arc, and it was just epic. I shouldn't say it picked up right. I think it's 9 months later. But the characters are still there, and the idea that vampires are running the earth and humans are basically cattle for these vampires, and some of our favorite humans and superheroes are now vampires is just such a cool thing. And there were some epic deaths in issue number 1 of this new series, and just pivotal moments. Now, this is coming from the creative team of Matthew Rosenberg and Otto Schmidt. Otto Schmidt's art is incredible. It is perfect for this series. And the way that he draws Green Arrow is so good. It's perfect. And he's like our main linchpin hero for the Resistance. And I love it. I love it so much, because that's Green Arrow to me. A super badass guy with just a bow and an arrow, always trying to do what's right. And he's doing that in this. And I hate what they're doing with him in Absolute Power, which I know they're going to flip him and he's going to be a good guy again. It's just annoying. Stop making him a bad guy. He's a through and through good guy. Oh, just so good. So good. I love Elseworld Tales like so much. And Dark Knights of Steel is really cool. I like it. But vampires and monsters are like my favorite. And like just seeing like Wonder Woman as like the biggest bad vampire is so cool, even though Barbara Gordon is the queen of vampires. And Damian Wayne's a vampire, but he's fighting against Barbara, and there's just so much good in this book. I don't want to ruin anything else. I said in the Discord that you guys have to be reading this book. Go read the first 12 issues. It's probably all collected in one nice big volume. Read it all. It's so good. I hated issue number 12, but the 11 issues before that were so fantastic. And yeah, it's a must read. A must read. Now, the variant covers for this. I got to go ahead and open up the page for the variant covers. but they're okay. There is the cover B done by Casper Wingard, which is, like I said, it's okay. There is a cover C done by Lucio Perillo, which is really good. Features Black Adam as a vampire, I believe. And the last one is the cover D, which is the 1 in 25 ratio variant done by Daniel DeNucleo, featuring Damian Wayne, which is pretty good. But overall, guys, the story flows so good. And the storyline between Black Canary and Green Arrow is so stinking good. Like, so good. I love it so much. I love a good love story. You guys know that. And it's just, they're true love. It's true. It's so good. It's so good. That is the #1 book I think you guys have to be reading this week. Now, with the limited time I have to edit this video, we're going to go ahead and dive right into the not top 3, but the books you got to see. But we're going to do it a little bit different this week. So let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, guys, before we dive into all the books that are on the not top 3, but the books you got to see, I'm going to tell you, I've made 3 buckets of books. I got the okay stories, the good stories, and the great. Now, the great are the books that almost made the top 3 list, but they didn't quite have the snuff to get there, or the stuff, not the snuff, the stuff to get there. The okay are kind of close to the chopping block. They're not quite there just yet, and the good are just solid stinking reads. Now, you guys got to remember, I read the previous issues to all these stories. I'm not talking about the books that are coming out this week. I'm excited for these next issues coming out tomorrow because of the previous issue. Just remember that. I have not read the stories that are coming out tomorrow. It's only the previous issues. All right, so the books that are on the okay list are Batman and Robin, Precious Metal, Shazam, and Spider-Gwen the Ghost Spider issue #4. Now, if you guys are in the Discord, you guys know I am chopping Spider-Gwen the Ghost Spider. I did not put that in the chopping block, but I should have, because I'm definitely going to chop that book from my pull list because the story is just whack and the artwork is not good at all. Shazam is super close. Precious Metal is going to stay on the pull list because I really like the creative team of that book. They wrote one of my favorite comic books, Little Bird, and this is the prequel to that series. It's just, the story is out there, man. It is so crazy. And Batman and Robin, it's on the okay list, but I'm going to continue picking up because they're having a new creative team take this book over. Philip Kennedy Johnson as the writer, and I forgot who the artist is, but it looks incredible. So good. All right, guys, the books that are on the good list are Ain't No Grave, Batman, Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age, Green Lantern, Prodigy, Slave of Mars, Red, Black, and White, Spider-Man Reign, Volume 2, and Ultimate Black Panther. All these stories are super solid, and I would suggest you guys pick them up. Ain't No Grave, issue #4, was a really interesting issue. There were no words, so you just had to follow the story by looking at it, and then like insinuate any words that you thought needed to be in there. I think there was words on the very, very last page. Pretty good story. I'm really enjoying it. It's written by Scotty Young and has art by Jorge Corona. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, overall, super fun story. Green Lantern, the one and only good absolute power, absolute, whatever the story is, I can't remember off the top of my head. It's a good story. It was a great tie-in. It tied in perfectly to the ongoing story, and it was still a good Green Lantern book. So overall, solid story. Prodigy, Slave of Mars, it's a Mark Miller book, super fun, first issue. Red Before Black, issue #1, was also super enjoyable, written by Stephanie Phillips, and I forgot who the artist is, but it's about a girl who's working for the FBI that was in prison, that is out of prison, and she is going undercover and trying to get into this drug lord gang, and he sends her off to kill someone to prove her allegiance to him, and she runs into the person she's supposed to kill, and I think they're going to befriend each other, which is going to make for a really interesting story. And Spider-Man Reign, Volume 2 has been great, and Ultimate Black Panther continues to be a solid story, but I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Now, the great books are really fun. Geiger, The Scorched, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Transformers. Now, Transformers definitely would have been in the good pile from the previous issue, but issue #11 was fantastic. It was really great. It was easy to follow, put the story in a better order, or at least made it easier to understand. It was just a much better issue. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue #1. This Jason Aaron story is off to a awesome start. I love how Raphael was put in prison, but he's kind of like undercover in prison, and then his the one person knows that he's undercover is murdered. So good. So good. The Scorch continues just to be an awesome Spawn team book. So great. So great. And I love how it works so seamlessly in with the other books. Read the Spawn books. They're almost all so good. You can skip the minis, but read the main series. They're all excellent books. And Geiger, so good. I don't even know what to say about it. If you're not reading Geiger, you have to read Geiger. It's a great story from Jeff Johns. Apocalyptic future with this guy that has nuclear powers and a two-headed dog and a I guess a sidekick named Knight, which is, he's such a great underrated character. Just a great series. Read Geiger. Guys, that is the not top 3, but the books you gotta see. Some really great books on there. Make sure you guys are sharing what books you're excited about down in the comments below. But let's go ahead and wrap this video up. Alright guys, we are at the end of today's video, and if this drops on Wednesday, I sincerely apologize, guys. I'm going to do my best to edit this as quickly as possible and get it out on Tuesday so that way you guys have it going into New Comic Book Day, but it's a good chance this is going to be late. I had to bring my son to the doctor's office this morning, and we got stuck in traffic on the way there. The doctor was late because he was stuck in traffic. It was just a whole shit show, and I apologize again if this comes out on Wednesday, but I hope you guys have a fantastic New Comic Book Day. There's some great covers, some really great stories coming out this week. I'm really hoping I pick up that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 2, the 1/100 Virgin variant done by, not Virgin, the ratio variant done by Diker One. It's such a great cover. And yeah, I hope you guys get all the books that you want as well. And if you guys have watched from the beginning of this video to this point right now, you guys know it. You guys are legends. True legends. Thank you guys so much for supporting the video. Now, if you guys watch that video and you enjoy comic content, but you're not subscribed, I just gotta say, what are you doing? Get yourself subscribed, hit that bell for notifications, and smash that like button. And last but not least, guys, I really appreciate it if you would smash that like button. Just do it. Smash it, love it, like it, let's go. All right, guys, I'll see you guys on either Thursday or Friday with my final order cutoff, recommendations, and speculation video. All right, guys, catch you in the next one. Peace.